Hiya, and welcome to Dupliart, where I take the duplicates we find during our Giggles and Gallimaufries unboxings and art with them. Today's duplicate is Smooshy Mushy Bestie, Bradley Barr. Okay, time out. Obviously, the squishy in the thumbnail is the Squish Delish cow.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Technically, the duplicate for this video was the Smooshy Mushy Bestie chocolate bar we opened during our Squish Overload unboxing on our Blind Bag Hags channel. However, as the project progressed, I gave up on my original theme, and it didn't end up being front and center of the project anymore. So is it still technically a Dupliart project?
We have sort of a problem here.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
In my defense, the squishy that did get front and center did come from this same unboxing session.
Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah. I have the memo right here. I just,
If it started out with a duplicate, then it's Dupliart, and that's my final answer.
There's no problem.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no,
Bye-bye,
I have
Peter.
the memo. I've got it. It's right.
My initial idea was a carousel critter using a Cake Pop Cuties container for the pole and base, and the cow as the critter. I was going to use the chocolate bar as the rider, and I was going to go for an all-over chocolate milk theme. Utterly cliche, I know, but cow tropes are punny. Let's move on. I'm going through the steps of cleaning up the squishy for repainting. You know, standard procedure of using small snips to clean up the seam lines, and remove bits you don't want. And then sanding the surface so it'll give the fabric paint something to hang on to. Make sure to rub it down with a cloth to get off all the dust and paint flakes. You don't need any chunks in your paint. And with slick paint, I tried to smooth out where I had cut out the bow. And smooth down some of the seam lines and fill in these little indentations on the cow's chest area. Just trying to smooth everything out. After letting the first layer of smothered on slick paint dry, I noticed the poor cow's side profile was, well, it kind of looked like someone smushed its face flat. I decided to cut off the bell and collar first since I didn't really like those anyway. While I was doing that, I was trying to decide how I was going to give the cow more of a face. I considered scissor sculpting out the neck area to make it a little bit more pronounced, but I really didn't want to mess with the base of the squishy, so to speak. I didn't want to give it floppy head syndrome. So then I thought about what I could put on the face, and I didn't really want to cut out a shape because it can end up very angular from the cuts of the scissors, and you have to sit there forever and ever and ever, clip, 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 clip.
Ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time for that.
Didn't want to do that. I ended up using the leftover half of the Pineapple Bestie from the light switch cover I made in a few videos ago. If I think about it, I will link it in the corner up there. And I know that it has a bumpy texture on the outside. It was trying to be a pineapple, of course. But I figured I could use more slick paint to smooth in those lines. And I ended up hollowing out some of the interior so that it would fit on the curve that was already there on the face. And using fabric fusion glue and rubber bands, I glued it to the face and let it dry. After a few hours, I took the rubber bands off, and I did have to do some scissor sculpting. Clean up the seam lines, flatten it out, round the edges more.
Blah, 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 blah.
I also cut into the mouth underneath to make kind of, well, you'll see, I hope, but like the little undermouth. What would you call that? Lower jaw, bottom jaw. There we go. Something like that. Anyway, sorry. Now that I'm happy with that, I move on to slathering on more slick paint. For this, I use the silicone tools to make sure I was getting a really nice smooth surface. They are especially helpful in the small recesses under the jaw. The jaw, do you hear that? I got it, the jaw. When slick paint dries, it does shrink a little, so I did have to put a few layers on to get everything leveled off. I know I could have used puffy paint for this, but I'll tell you why I didn't. Personal preference. Let me explain a bit. When I see clumpy, lumpy things where they're not supposed to be, I have to sand it. I have found I can use wet, dry sandpaper on the slick paint, and it holds up very well. I can't say the same about puffy paint. It's probably because it's more airy than the slick paint, would be my guess. But I do use puffy paint when there's deeper holes in these squishies, but I usually put slick paint over the top. Now let's skip ahead to after I've added quite a few layers of what is supposed to be matte white paint, but really isn't. There's glitter in it. I digress. And I hadn't really done any major surgery to the chocolate bar. I had completely painted it at this point. Very boring though. I went with a pink wrapper, a silver lining, and just regular milk chocolate. Side note, always make sure you have all of your materials close by, because if you get up, you will be replaced at your own workstation by Furry Butt. Just saying. I used this plaid leather paint for the hooves. I really like this paint. The black is very opaque. It's a little thinner than regular fabric paint, but it's very flexible. Oh, love it. Once that was dry, I moved on to his face. I mostly used the Tulip Soft Matte Brown and just made different shades of it. I added a bit of yellow and red to make the peach for his snoz and a little darker shade for his horns. Just really filling in the basics at this point. I still didn't have a plan as to how the cow was going to look. I just knew I wanted to make a cow. Because at this point I was almost losing faith in it, my idea of what I was doing, and I was losing myself in just wanting to paint the cow, just make the cow cute. I was telling myself I was pushing through. That's not really what it was. I was trying to have fun and just see where this went with the cow rather than trying to stick to any plan. Maybe that's the point of my story. Learning when to let go and just create. Don't get bogged down in keeping yourself to some rule that you've inflicted upon yourself to begin with anyway. It was my idea to do the Dupliart thing and only use duplicates. But damn it, it's my art. If I don't want to use a duplicate, I don't have to. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate. It doesn't have to be Leonardo da Vinci. It can be K1 silly squishy cow.
Atta! Thank you. I'm fine.
Anyway, art is supposed to be fun, and I had a lot of fun painting something simple. I enjoyed myself. It was relaxing. Hence, I've gotten a lot more casual in my tone in this video. Just letting it flow.
That's wonderful.
With the spots on the cow, I just went with
Whatever.
first thought of doing hearts, but then they all just got bigger and bigger, and there's a couple of them on there. Some look like butterflies. My own Rorschach exercise. I did end up reining in some of the spots. Just cleaned up some lines. I added more detailing off camera. I went for a simple bandana around her neck, and I changed the eyes after this. I tried to get more gradient. I darkened up that purple because it just wasn't working for me. And now it's time to see what I came up with. I really like how she turned out. Nothing fancy like I had thought I was going to do in the beginning, but that's okay. Even the chocolate bar, as simple as the design is, it's still cute. I might end up adding it in somewhere later. It was really good to remind myself that I don't have to go into all kinds of elaborate, highly engineered constructions all the time. You have to enjoy just sitting back and slapping paint on something. Thank you so much for watching this video. I sure hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you take away from this to just go out and create, if you so choose to. Don't get caught up in all the rules. Just let yourself enjoy the process. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Again, my thanks. Bye-bye.